Hey guys, it's me Samir and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to tell you all that you need to know to get started with competitive programming. What is the language you should use, what are the best websites for programming competitions, and I'm going to give you some other resources that will help you when you start. Then in a follow-up video, I'm going to tell you what is the strategy you should follow as a beginner to keep improving at CP. If you're wondering what is CP or why you should do it, check out my other video, How Competitive Programming Got Me a Job at Google. So let's get started. Before participating in programming contests, you need to have a decent grasp of a programming language. C++ is easily the most preferred language for CP, and Java is the next best. Pick C++ as your starting language unless you're already familiar with Java. The reason for that is other languages are either really slow or don't have something like the standard template library or STL of C++, which basically provides standard implementations of some vastly used algorithms and data structures. You don't have to worry about STL as a beginner, but you will need it as you keep on improving and getting better. If you already know some other language, you can start solving some basic beginner problems for now, as most of them can be solved with a lot of languages. For learning C++, I would recommend this 10-hour tutorial on Caleb Curry's channel. If you like books, I would recommend doing the first 10 chapters of C++ Primer Plus. I'll give the link to both in the description. Now, I am going to show you the best CP websites, and the first one of them is Codeforces. Codeforces is probably the best CP website on the planet, so you should definitely make an account here. Codeforces has around 2 contests in a week. They're categorized by division. Division 1 is the hardest, and Division 4 is the easiest. As a beginner, you can take part in Div 2, 3, or 4 contests. Let's see what a contest looks like. The contest usually runs for 2 to 2.5 hours. There are usually 5 to 7 problems sorted by difficulty. Each problem has some points that you get if you solve it. You can see the points here. Harder problems obviously have more points. The points keep on decreasing as time goes on, so you want to solve the problems as fast as you can. There are also penalties if you submit a wrong solution to the problem. Each problem has a minimum amount of points, so you will get at least that many points if you solve the problem, no matter how long you take or how many incorrect attempts you make on this problem. You can see that the contestants are ranked by the total sum of points. After the contest is over, you can also see the discussion about the contest, where participants share various things like their views on the contest and solution to problems and stuff like that. Let's see that. And there it is. So you can see they are discussing the problems, whether they are good or not. You can also check out solutions of other contestants after the contest is over. Let's see one of the solutions. Yeah, there. You can also try out the problems of the contest for practice. Let's try out an easy problem from some other contests. So this is what a problem looks like. There's a title, there's a time limit, there's a memory limit, and then there's the story or the definition of the problem. Then there is an input section which describes in what format the input is given. Then there is the output section which describes in what format you should print the output. And then there are some examples. So now I want you to pause the video and read this problem. So the problem starts out by saying words like localization or internationalization are considered so long that writing them is quite tiresome. This is basically a story that the problem authors build, which is not really that useful. Then it gives you a objective definition of what word is considered too long. It says a word is considered too long if its length is strictly more than 10 characters. Now we have this objective definition of what word is considered too long. And then it says that all the too long words should be replaced with a special abbreviation. What is an abbreviation? It then describes what an abbreviation is in the next step. So you can see here that it says we write down the first letter and the last letter of a word, and between them we write the number of letters between the first and last letters. And that is how you get this definition of how you want to go from a too long word to abbreviation. And then it gives you an example. So you see localization, the first letter is L and the last letter is N, and this vocalization is 10 characters in length. So it would be spelled as L10N in abbreviation. Okay, and then it does the same for internationalization, which is I and then 18 and then N. And then it says you have to make a process, basically make a program that does this too long to abbreviation conversion. Let's see how we take the input. In the input section, it says the first line contains an integer n, and n is between 1 and 100. This will always be satisfied, so you don't need to worry about bad input or something like that. N will always be between 1 and 100. Each of the following n line contains one word. All the words consist of lowercase Latin letters and possess the lengths from 1 to 100 characters. So you are given an integer n and then the n words, each on a separate line of lowercase Latin characters. Let's see what the output looks like. We have to print n lines. The ith line should contain the result of replacing of the ith word from the input data. So basically we are given n words, n can be anything from 1 to 100. We take these words, we apply the process that is described above and then print the output, each on a separate line. You need to print the output exactly as it is mentioned. You can't print anything else like the abbreviation is or something like that. You just want to print the word exactly. Let's look at the example. So you see the n here is 4. So 4 words follow. The 4 words are word, localization, internationalization, and some other long string. So you see for word, it's less than 10 characters, so it's not too long, so the output will be word. For localization, we saw it was LNN, and for internationalization, it was I18N. And for the last word, it's P43S, whatever that means. It's correct, so we just need to write the program that produces the same output. So let's try to write a program that solves this problem. This side is IDE1, which is basically an online IDE that you can code on. Let's write the code to the problem here. So firstly, we need to input the variable n. So let's define that and input it. Then we need to input n words. So let's do that. I'll input the words as strings. Let's define the string variable as well. And let's include the string header. If you don't know what that means, don't worry, when you learn C++, you'll understand. So we have inputted the variable. Now let's do the process of converting the words into abbreviations. If the word has length smaller than 10 or equal to 10, then it does not need to be converted. So let's do that. So we just print the word as is. Now, if you want to convert, what you can do is output the first character, the length of the string minus 2, because we removed the first and the last character, and then the last character. So now let's try the input and see if it matches the output. And I think it matches the output. So we can now submit the problem and see the verdict. So to submit, you can either submit by a file, you can code it on your PC locally and submit that, or you can go to the submit code section, select the problem, paste the code, and just submit it. Let's see the verdict. And it's accepted because it's correct. So now let's try submitting a wrong code. So you can maybe not do the else condition here and print the wrong output. Let's see it. You can see it's a wrong output. So just let's try to submit this. So you go to submit code, choose the problem A, paste the code and submit it. Let's see the wording. It's taking too long. So it's wrong answer on test one. Let's see. So after the contest, it gives you a bit of information about what went wrong with your program. So if the test case is small enough to print, it will show you the whole test case. Otherwise, it will only show you the partial test case and tell you what was wrong in your solution. So you can see that. But during the contest, it doesn't tell you anything. It just tells you whether your program gave wrong answer or timed out, but it doesn't tell you the actual test case. The other thing of interest here is the problem set, but I'll come back to that later in the video. The second website that I want to show you is adcoder.jp. Codeforces and AdCoder are the top websites of all the great competitive programmers. AdCoder organizes around one contest per week. You can see the schedule here. As a beginner, you should take part in the AdCoder beginner contest. Let's see what it looks like. The first two problems are generally easy and you don't really need any special algorithms or data structures to solve them. Problems also have points in AdCoder contests, but here you get full points for solving a problem compared to Codeforces. Ties are broken on the basis of time it took you to solve all the problems, plus 5 minutes for each wrong submission on problems that you eventually solved. Solution for all problems are released some days after the contest. You can see in the editorial section. They're in Japanese at beginning, but the English solution is there. So you can see the solutions are released in English as well. But if you can't wait for the solution to be released, you can actually go to Codeforces and they usually have a post where they discuss the AdCoder contest. People often post their solution there and you can look there to see the solution just immediately after the contest. You can also look at the code of other participants, but it's a bit complex here. Let's see how to do that. So you go to results, all submissions, and then you can see all the submissions here. So you can select solutions on the basis of language, on tasks, on the status like AC, and then also on the basis of user. AdCoder doesn't really tell you much about the test cases even after the contest is over. It just tells you how many test cases your solution failed on and how many it passed, even during the contest. So that's basically it about the platforms for programming competitions. I know there are a lot of other websites for CB, but these are the best ones. So my advice is to participate mainly on these two. But before participating in contests, it's a good idea to solve some problems to get used to these CP problems. For that, you can use either the Codeforces problem set, and you can sort this by difficulty or by the number of users solved. I think sorting by difficulty is better. So you can see it's given a rating of 800. I don't know what that means, but basically this is the easiest problem, so you can solve this and all the other 800 rated problems. So go through this problem set and try to solve some problems. You can also solve problems from past AdCoder beginner contests. I recommend doing A and B from the AdCoder beginner contest. You can also check out Spoj or Sphere Online Judge, which is basically a judge with a collection of problems. It is vast and you can see the problems here. You can solve them by the number of users that solve them. And then these are easy problems. You can see all the problems that I've solved on my profile. So my profile is Phoenix41. If you want to know what problems to solve, then you can check out my profile. I'll probably post a list of problems to solve sometime soon in the description. There's also a great book on competitive programming that has tutorials on lots of topics and great information about competitive programming. You can start reading it now as it is made for beginners. It's called Competitive Programmer's Handbook. It's free and I'll link it in the description. I've also curated a massive list of data structures and algorithm tutorials with 4 to 5 problems. You don't really need to worry about this right now. In the follow-up video, I'll describe you how to use this resource and what is the strategy that you should follow as a beginner. A lot of people tend to quit in the beginning because they don't make any progress and it becomes frustrating for them. So following the right strategy is very important. So for all that and more, I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you get a notification when I upload a new video. See you.